Question for me now is where this video is going to wind up. Because I have a channel which nobody watches, nobody knows about, nobody subscribes to it, and I put videos up there all the time, regularly, almost every day. Well, not every day, every other day. And then I have my regular channel, which is a wider audience and is more distributed. But here's my thing. People can always point out errors and mistakes other people make and things like that. And in life, I kind of think that sometimes you got to make mistakes. You know, if you live your whole life where you're afraid of making mistakes and you're afraid of making errors, then you never get anything done. You never really, it's not even a matter of getting things done, accomplishing things, or solving big problems. But one part of life, at least I think of it, is to be yourself, to be who you are. You know, your life should at least be satisfying to you. You should be satisfied with your life. And I think I'm satisfied with my life. It isn't perfect. I'm not famous. I'll probably never get to be famous, although who knows, next thing you know, I may be big and famous. You know, I won't close the door on that one. I like to be famous. It would be fun, but it's not, but I also realize it'll probably be a pain in the ass because you wouldn't have privacy either. But the thing is being me, you know, for me to be me, that's what counts. That's what I want to do. And that's what I do. And a lot of people, there are people who don't like me. And there are people who do like me. There are people who love me. But see, that would be the case if I was being phony too. I'd have a lot of people who would not like me and people who would. You're never going to get to a point where everybody likes you. Can you make that your goal in life? Can that be what it's all about? That you have to be liked by everybody? That you have to be loved by everybody? Is that what it's really all about? You know, for some people it is. Because you're nobody unless everybody loves you. A fact which will never be. It will never be. You see, you'll never be somebody that everybody loves. Now, you can be rich. Of course, then you don't care. But then you do care. Because then you got to hang on to that wealth. Because that's important. I'm nobody if I don't have any money. And if you lose that money, you become nobody. Because that's who you associate. Who and what you are is with what you have. You know. Now, I'm not a guru and I'm not a teacher. And I'm not here to teach some great, you know, mystical truth or something. I think most of the truths in this world are things that we do know. We know really, when we really stop for a moment deep in our hearts, we know what truth is. We know what it is. We don't really need a lot of self-help books. And I get to thinking about that too. In the past, I used to always get self-help books and read them and look at them. And some of them have been very useful and helpful. But I realized that a lot of times they were teaching me things that I kind of knew in a way. You kind of knew. You just, you know, you kind of knew that that was the case, that you had to be yourself. You had to be who you are. You had to stand up for yourself. You had to be assertive sometimes. And sometimes you had to be kind and gentle. You knew those things. You know, I'm reading now Emerson, which is not a self-help book. You know, Waldo Ralph Emerson and his essay, Self-Reliance. And I think if you read that, you get a lot of really good wisdom from that. You know, that society basically likes it when we are, what is the term he says, the way he puts it? Society loves conformity, and self-reliance is its aversion. Yeah. You know, being self-reliant is really what it is. That's what's important. To rely on yourself, to be as independent as you can be. Now, granted, I have to say this. I don't think anybody can be absolutely independent. Absolute independence and absolute self-reliance doesn't exist because we all rely on each other. If it weren't for other people, my survival would be zero, you know. You know, somebody has to manufacture this, okay? So I'm relying on people to not only create this, but, you know, to invent it, who have invented it already. But that it still continue to be manufactured. I couldn't do this. I couldn't, you know, I didn't make this camera. I don't run this network. Even if I were the owner of it, if I became a billionaire and bought this network, the thing is that there are other people who are smarter and know how to do things, and collectively we do these things. So being totally independent, that's not really possible. And being totally self-reliant is impossible. But as self-reliant as you can be to do as much for yourself as possible. Because you are the one person who has the power to make your life better. You have the most power to make it better. Other people have some degree of influence on things. But you're the one who really has to take the responsibility of making your life better. It's just a thought that I have. I'm really, I know, I don't know what kind of responses I'm going to get, but it's just what I've been thinking about lately. I want to write a book, and I've been trying to write this book, and I'm not going to say what my prospects are of writing it. But, I've been thinking about things. What is it that people do? How do we do things? How do we get things done? And I think about when I've done things, and it's something I thought about in the past. When people become successful, sometimes you don't really know how you became successful, even if you did it. It's kind of like winning the lottery. It's like if you bought a lottery ticket, let's say like right now they had a Mega Millions, which is like $500 million. If I were to sit down right now and write out numbers for the winning, what I think was going to be the winning numbers, and I go and submit it, get my ticket, and it wins. Somebody say, well, how did you do that? Even if I explained to you what I was thinking, what I thought of, why did I come up with this number and that number, none of it really tells you how to win. Because even if you follow what I say and you do things your own way, your chances are still 1 in 175 million. You have a 1 in 75 million chance of winning. It doesn't change. Anything I tell you isn't really going to improve things. But, people hear somebody explain something, and when they give a nice, elaborate, entertaining explanation, people will go out and they'll buy a book. Like I could have a little booklet, How I Won the Lottery. People may figure, well, he won the lottery, so therefore he must know how to win. See, I kind of think that this is the same thing with celebrities. Like I was watching Jim Carrey the other day, and Jim Carrey is down to suddenly decided he's a guru of some type. Well, you don't really know how to tell me or anybody else how to be successful. You became successful. Part of it was skill, and part of it is luck. Because there are probably a lot of people more skillful and probably more funny than you are, but they didn't get the lucky breaks, or they weren't at the right place at the right time at some moment. Maybe they changed their mind. They suddenly said, well, I think I'll stop trying to be a comedian and I'll just be a brain surgeon or something. Or I'll be a garbage man or whatever. But sometimes because you were successful doesn't necessarily mean you know how. It's like because you won a lottery doesn't mean you know how to win a lottery. So, the idea of writing a self-help book has always been on my mind, but at the same time, I don't know how to tell anybody how to be happy. But I think each one of us knows how to do it for ourselves. I think it takes courage. I think it takes willingness to do what you feel in your heart. It's something nobody can tell you. Nobody can tell you. You know what it takes. And I know because I've done the things that I felt were right to do. And I'm satisfied with that. Even if it failed, even if it didn't work out. If I tried something and it didn't work, I know it was my thing. It was what I did. It was my thought. It was what I was thinking. And that's all I have to say. This video is probably not going to be very much fun to watch. So I just felt like I had to say something. And this is not just, it's not a self-help thing. It's just my thoughts.